22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And I'm not afraid to say.
Yes, I missed that intro.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No doubt.
You're the king of the world.
Politics, man. Let me tell you, I missed that intro. What's up? What's up, Lorraine? What's up, AJ?
How you doing?
What's up?
Nothing much, man.
New. Got the intro back. Got a new format.
Yeah.
Cleaner.
Yes. This is great, man. This is what it's all about. You know, the COVID-19 has forced America and forced society to reboot itself and find new ways to get through this. And as big corporations are saving money, not bringing people back to work and making them work from home,
right?
Westchester Magazine is saving some money and we incorporated ourselves. So for those who are watching, you can share it. It's also on the Facebook page of Black Westchester Magazine, and we're also streaming live on YouTube as we speak. So
right, it's on my page, your page, Latino Empowerment page.
Right.
And we shared it to several other pages. For all those watching, this is Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics Radio Show, episode 276. This is the Westchester County Democratic Committee Chair Candidate Forum. We will have two of the candidates running for Reggie Lafayette's former seat. You know what? Let me just before we even get right there, when we first started Black Westchester, my one problem with Ernie Davis when he gave his speech saying he was running in 2015 was that he said he is only running because there is no one to take his place, qualified to take his place. At that point, I said, if that's the case and you've been the mayor for 16 years over a 20-year period, then that's an indictment of your leadership, not them. Then we had Mount Vernon Controller Maureen Walker, who was the corporation controller for years. And again, like Ali decided to stick her head out one too many times instead of endorsing her vice chair, which was Barksdale, who was qualified to take over the office and had came up under her tutelage, and now we ended up with Deborah Reynolds. That being said, Reggie Lafayette has been the Westchester County Democratic chair for a while now.
My adult life.
And 16 years.
Oh, maybe not.
16 years.
And in that time, and he always talks about black this and black that. You didn't groom anybody under you to take your place when you decided to step down, including your, what's her name? Tashawn, what's her name? How you pronounce her name, Damon? Tashawn. Yeah. Yeah, who I think was very qualified. And, you know, a lot of our elected officials in these positions hold these positions and they try to hold on to them forever and they never groom up the next generation to take their place. So now people are complaining, oh, now we're not going to have no black in leadership in the party. Well, that's the party's fault. So we have two candidates coming on today and they are both white. And we're going to talk to them about what they are going to do, especially in this after George Floyd situation, that will further the black and brown, for the black and brown community, being that we no longer have any representation and leadership up there, or at this point now that Reggie has stepped down. So I just wanted to get that. I think it's a shame that, you know, these positions are not meant to be, you know, City Hall, Congress, all these places are not meant to be retirement homes. You know, you're not supposed to have a position and then you retire into the, you live long enough till you die or you just retire out. You should, real leaders, somebody's computer.
Dr. Bob, turn down your volume somewhere.
Yeah, real leaders make leaders.
That's better.
If you're a leader, you groom, you leadership, those of you become the next leader. So that's my only problem. I felt like Reggie Lafayette failed in that effort. And I just wanted to throw that out even before we even got started. That's it.
Oh, I messed up what I was gonna say.
My bad.
I forgot. But I
wait. It's not an optical illusion. We actually have Dr. Bob and Damon K. Jones actually on at the same time. Like, I know y'all was starting to wonder if they're two different people or it was just one because you only saw one or the other.
Hold on.
Actually two different people.
Before we move forward,
AJ, you're echoing.
somebody's echoing.
I'm not echoing.
Bob, check your. You have
your volume on. You got the phone on or another device on?
My volume is on the lowest possible volume.
You got an earpiece?
Yeah, I can barely hear everyone.
Yeah, do you have an earpiece, Bob? Because you're echoing.
No, I don't have it with me, unfortunately.
Okay. Well,
I mean, of course, if it's posing a technical obstacle, I could always go in the waiting room, of course.
No,
and just chat my comments. I could.
No. We're just I'll work it out, Bob. I'll work it out because we're just so happy to have you, Bob. We just so happy. You know, and I just want to piggyback off AJ. You know, we are in the age of George Floyd, and I think it's going to be time for political parties, political people to really address the inequities that we have. Westchester County is one of the richest counties, but we do have pockets of inequity. We do have issues of racism, and we do have police brutality. Like, we don't need to go to other cities and other states to talk about issues of police brutality. We have on George Floyd right here in Westchester County. So I think it's time for elected officials, leaderships, party chairman, because Reggie Lafayette hasn't never showed up to one issue of police brutality. I will say, God bless the dead. Dr. Julio Cavallo is the only Westchester chairman that came out to a police brutality rally and stood with victims of police brutality. Only Westchester chairman. Only Westchester.
David, you're still echoing.
It's me?
I think it's all of us.
Yeah, it's all of us. Well, somebody's speaker is playing.
Do you want to try to, if I'm...
Hello? Can y'all hear me? Now I can't hear myself.
I can hear you clearly.
Oh, I can hear you now. AJ, we gotta do. I can't hear you.
AJ's muted.
Oh, wait a minute. AJ's muted. AJ, your mic, it says your mic's not connected. It says your mic isn't connected. So while we're talking,
What about now?
yes. So, you know,
Yeah,
Bob,
we didn't hear the echo until Bob got on.
it's Bob.
And I put my earpiece in and I can still hear the echo in my ears. So
Yeah, it's Bob's echo.
It's not me.
It's Bob that's echoing. But we're gonna bring Bob in for right now. But I think we have to have the conversation. So I'm honored to have I'm honored to have the chairs. I'm honored to have the chairs that are here to talk about the issues. I mean, because we have to talk about it. I think the Democratic Party from the leadership end really dropped the ball on the last couple of years when dealing with issues in the Black community, even having a Black chair. Much respect to Reggie Lafayette, but I mean, truth is truth.
Not just the chairs, but the folks they're endorsing for leadership positions as well.
Yes. So those that are watching, you know, this is Black Westchester. So we're going to keep it 100 because these issues must be addressed and these issues must be put on the forefront of the Democratic Party if you want Black votes. Right?
All Latino.
Right, all Latino. So, you know, I heard, you know, a lot of talk behind the scenes, you know, about tokenism and all this nonsense. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it just can't be more symbolism without substance. You know, the communities and the Black and brown communities throughout Westchester are suffering. They were suffering before COVID-19, right? Now that COVID-19 has taken, a lot of these Black communities are on life support, right? They're on life support. And we have to have the proper leadership from political positions from the bottom to the top that's going to address this. It shouldn't took George Floyd for us to talk about police oversight in Westchester County. Every major city has a George Floyd in Westchester County, including county police.
Absolutely.
So you know, we have to have these conversations. And we need to have these conversations. And whoever is the leader of the Democratic Party better be out front on it, because we'll give you heart attacks like we gave Reggie. We will make have you. You won't sleep at night. But it is not personal. It's the fact that these issues need to be addressed now.
We are going to bring them to the forefront. We're gone are the days in Westchester where everybody buries their head in the sand and doesn't talk about the issues that need to be talked about and think they're just going to go away. That didn't work out for you. So Black Westchester was born to bring out these issues, to speak on these issues, and to have these uncomfortable conversations that people have been scared to have for far too long. We are going to continue to speak on them and bring these issues to the forefront. I want to thank everybody who's listening and tuning in and bared with our little technical difficulties as we try out some new. We're trying out a new format.
We gotta make sure Bob has an earpiece in his back pocket. We gotta make sure that's in the back pocket. But But I'm so happy to see Bob. We'll deal with the echoes today.
So I can't resist until our guest comes. So I sent out the story I did.
No, he's here. Bill's here.
Okay, just one quick
waiting room. Bill's waiting patiently while we rant.
Oh, okay. I just want to say one thing, and we're gonna let Bill in. So I sent out a story that I just did that they finally opened up the bridge on 6th Avenue in Mount Vernon that goes from where Cupcake Cutie is all the way over to the city, back in City Hall.
Thank you.
Wait, but I sent it out to everybody, and Richard Thomas said, "You're welcome."
Richard Thomas had nothing to do with it. Jesus Christ, this guy, man,
He said, "You're welcome on the 6th Avenue Bridge and all the other bridges being replaced." And I just put a LOL, and I just saw that, and I just had to read that. So without further ado,
that's almost like Trump. That's almost like Trump saying, "I saved America from COVID."
Well, yeah, there you go. So our first guest in the Westchester County Democratic Committee Chair Candidate Forum is Bill. What's his last? Lorraine. What's the last name? Bill. Okay, and he is he's the Democratic Chair of Mount Kisco, I believe. We're going to bring him on now, and we're going to talk to him, and then later on we're going to talk to the other candidate that is running. How are you, Bill? Welcome to the People Before Politics radio show.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So first and foremost, well, congratulations on running. I wish you luck. And so for our audience, which is Black Westchester, predominantly Black people, a lot of people are concerned now. We're lost. Black leadership on the top level as far as the party is concerned, and a lot of people who do not know the two of you want to know what if you win, what does that mean for Black and brown people in the county as far as?
Sure. Excellent question. And I want to touch on one thing that you sort of started with on the show. So I view myself here as a transformative, transitional chair, should I win. One of the first things that I'm looking at doing is instituting term limits for this position. And I am of the belief that 2 terms would be sufficient. And along with that, to just dovetail on some of the things you guys were talking about when I was in the waiting room, the leadership slate that I'm bringing on, the folks that are like-minded that I have looked at and talked to, and we've had extensive discussions about many of these things and topics that not only concern Black Westchester Magazine, Black and brown people, but all people, all voices, is that I view myself as being able to bring in these people, sort of, not to sound cliched, but I'll be the gardener. I'm going to plant a lot of seeds. I want those seeds to grow fruit and bear to fruition. And I walk away after 2 terms and I look back and I say, okay, look at that. Look at that big garden. And there is your next 3, 4, 5 generations of chairs that are all like-minded and looking to continue to march forward. So that's probably priority 1 when I'm elected chair.
One question we put a flyer up, so I've got several questions from many people around the county.
Okay.
I got questions also.
Right. So summing up, one question, which has been variations of this particular question, your opponent is touting that, and one of the selling points that they're trying to sell for her is that she helped put on a couple of Black judges. And they were like, what have you done, for the Black and brown community? And one other person added women. So
I have supported numerous, African-American and Hispanic-American judges and a lot of judges from all walks of life. Most recently, I was actually asked to put his name into a nomination at the state Supreme Court convention for E. Lauren Williams, who's going to be the first African-American judge to have that position in Orange County. But I have worked and supported with, Honorable Kathy Davis. I was very instrumental in family court judge Wayne Humphrey's race. Wayne lives up on, the northern end of the county, a little closer to me. But Wayne and I had a lot of discussions, and I did everything I could to bring him all around the county, north, south, east, and west. and we were able to get them. We were able to get them on the ballot, and we were able to bring that to fruition. I'm very proud of that. You know, I have worked over many years now, north, south, east, and west. My face, although not the prettiest, is frequently seen all over. And anybody that has been a part of any local races, state races, federal races, when I get called, when I get asked, or if I am so passionately moved, I engage and I commit and I act. And that is always, that is who I am. I will continue to do so. If I am the chair, there will be no shortage of black, brown, red, yellow, and all peoples to this party of ours.
So one more question. I'm passing to David, and I know Lorraine has some questions, and then we'll see if Bob has some questions. One of the, Mount Kisco, being in Mount Kisco, one of the concerns that some people say that you're not familiar with the concerns of the southern part of the county, which is more predominantly persons of color. And some people were concerned about that. And I just wanted to say, people in the district, like you mentioned that, people have seen your face, people that are involved in the party and stuff like that, maybe big, but people like me who are not, that don't take part in a position in the party and stuff, have never heard your name before. So that's why.
Sure.
So I want to be like, who is Bill? How do you say your last name so I pronounce it right?
Serratore.
Serratore. Who is Bill Serratore, the person? Let's start there.
Sure.
And then go on.
Sure. Great question. And thank you for giving me that opportunity, because I do know that, and I do hear those things as well. So let me back up. I am the son of immigrants. From Italy. I'm first generation Italian American. I grew up in Nyack, in Rockland County. My father was a barber, and my father had me working in the barbershop when I was 8 years old. It was everybody that came into my father's shop got a free shoe shine. I was the shoe shine boy. So that's where I began. I'm a product of public school. I went to Nyack Public Schools. I was super active at an early age in student politics. And we got involved in numerous activities. I understand that, because I live in Mount Kisco and because of the demographics of Mount Kisco, I know that in some corners screams white privilege. I am not white privilege. I am certainly, I don't dismiss the fact that being white, obviously, that's just the way society is, but it's not because of anything that I have furthered or believe in. I have worked my entire life towards a position of equity and fairness for all. Those were instilled in me at a very early age, from my parents. I was always trained, to respect everyone, treat everyone as equals. Don't put anyone into a box. And I have tried very hard not to do that. And anyone that knows me knows that is my MO. A simple scan of my personal life online, and you can see that, who I am, or it should be evident, but.
I have one more question that actually came up, and I want to get that.
Yeah, I don't want to get off track, and let me get back to your specific question. I'm sorry, were you trying to?
No, go ahead. If you're gonna take a minute and answer the question, if you say that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah. So Mount Kisco has a very large, has a very large Hispanic community. I have been super active with that Hispanic community. I participate in Neighbors Link, which is an outsourced community group that we have here that does ESL training. It provides education and work opportunities to help integrate the community and offer other services as well. I'm also an active member and participate in Make the Road, which is a group I firmly and fondly believe in. I agree with some of the stuff you were talking about earlier with regards to addressing over-policing and other issues and systemic racism that we do have. And don't let the fact that I am white be a hindrance there. I'm not arrogant or ignorant enough to think that, I have a complete understanding of what it means to be an African American, but I certainly have experienced through personal relationships that I have with others of what that is. I am sensitive to that, and I will damn sure be working hard to make sure that we advance, the population of Westchester as it reflects geographically, by racial, by gender, and every other way. The people that I'm choosing to work with that are on my leadership slate reflect that. It's not just pick a name out of a hat and check off a box. So
Right.
we are committed to moving this bar forward.
I want to actually, I know I was going to Damon next, but you mentioned having a large Hispanic community. So I know Lorraine has some questions dealing with the Hispanic community. So I want Lorraine to follow up and ask her questions about.
Of course.
Okay. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Damon. Hey, Bob. Biden has taken the Hispanic community for granted. He has done that. As far as I'm concerned, he's a fail when it comes to outreach to the Hispanic community. And, he talks about immigration, he talks about DACA. Oh, it's wonderful. And it should be on top. It should be on the forefront. I certainly support my brothers and sisters in the Latino community, but we're not all immigrants. I'm a Puerto Rican American. That's not my issue. What exactly are you going to do to reach out to the Latino community in Westchester?
So thank you, Lorraine. That's a great question, and I appreciate that. And I do recognize and understand that not, frequently the entire argument seems to be based upon immigration. Obviously, there are a myriad of other issues that need to be included there. In terms of Mount Kisco, I was actively pushing for Mount Kisco to be a sanctuary city long before the election of Donald Trump, and I participated in numerous activities to do that. More importantly and specifically, I have actively been looking for and trying to integrate and add as many of those voices to the Mount Kisco committee. One of whom, she's actually on my leadership slate, is Corinne Patino. She is a brilliant woman who is Ecuadorian. She's a legal aid society attorney. She is an activist. She is super active in not only the Hispanic Democratic committee, but also in politics in general. I'm so happy that she's agreed to be a vice chair. I think that she will be instrumental in bringing more things to the forefront, and we need to cultivate more of that. We need to find the next dozen people like that who want to not only step up and serve in leadership roles in the party, but we also need them to step up and run for office, because that's the only way that we ever get anywhere. I am truly committed and of the firm belief that it is through inclusion and togetherness. That's the real strength of all of us. That's the strength of the party. That's how we move forward together. We're not going to move forward together by staying in this like circular fashion. We can't elect individuals who, talk a good game, but the policies that they promote don't really give anyone an opportunity to get out of those scenarios that they are in. So like with affordable housing, for example, you can't just do things that keep people in affordable housing. You need to give them a leg up, not a hand. They need a policy, and they need people to promote those.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you. I don't want to interrupt you, but I have to. What specifically are you going to do for the Latino community to get them to participate in the party? I know you have 2 Latinos on your slate. What is your plan of action to get more Hispanic district leaders, to get more Hispanics making decisions, making votes, deciding on whether or not you're going to have that seat?
My immediate plan of action there is I want to reach out into the community. Those are voices that are active and that are there, but they feel that they're not part of the Democratic Party. As chair, I intend to offer that outreach. I'll make myself personally available. I want to take out ads in local papers. I want to reach out to the local high schools. I want to reach out through the community organizations, through the churches, through any number of activities that are available, and let people know the door is open. You are welcome in this party. You will be welcomed by me. And I want to encourage and educate and teach them whatever they need to know to be more involved and to be part of this process. The more of those voices that we have, the better we will be.
Would you encourage local party chair people to start some type of diversity outreach team, or
without a doubt, Lorraine, 100%.
Okay. But that's what's needed, really.
It is extremely important, and one of the major disconnects that I think we have in this party is many of the local committees feel a major disconnect from the county. So we need to be able to reach out to them, have those voices be a part of the mix. And as chair of the party, I intend to lead by example. That is always who I've been, and I will encourage and reach out to the local chairs, and even with or without the local chairs, I want to reach out to those local communities and find as many people as we can to bring them into the tent. We talk a good game about the big tent. We don't do a very good job of actually leading by action. So I am a man of action. Anybody who knows me knows that I will do that. And for those that are just getting to know me, on the eyes of my children, this will happen when I am chair of this party.
So we're going to go to Damon, but I just wanted to say, out of everyone, you're the lowest. I don't know if your if your volume is low or whatever, but everyone is louder than you, and I want people to make sure they hear you.
He sounds pretty good to me on mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can hear him well too.
Okay, Damon.
So I've gotten some texts and requests. So basically, I tried to break them down into education, police, black business, and black family.
Okay.
So education, do you feel there's a need for better distribution of wealth in Westchester school systems? And whatever your answer, and how can we work on that?
So let me start off by saying I am not a believer in the voucher system. I'm a product of public schools. I think public schools are underfunded in many regards and overfunded in other things. Now we all love our sports and we all think that those are great. And certainly, I played sports in high school, but in many cases, in a lot of these communities, the budgets of these schools are overloaded with, sports budgeting, and we don't do anything in many of the other extracurricular activities. We don't nearly do enough to provide really enough assistance to those who are more in need, to those who may need more help in terms of whether that is food or other things. And that has to change. I mean, and I know, the chair of the party, isn't passing policy and really doesn't have much to do with the school district. But the way I view it, I think chair of the party is a big voice. Mm-hmm. You get a very big pulpit with which to exercise and use that. I would look to really use my voice for those common denominators, to be the voice of reason and be the champion for those causes. And I will open myself up to being available physically and any other way that I can to participate with those, PTA organizations or other school organizations, to bring the real attention that's required, and in any interviews or anything that you get to do as chair, that should be part of the discussion.
Great. One more, education. Do you feel that the need for funding availability for more vocational, because not everybody, especially in Black and brown communities and a lot of these communities, not everybody can go to college, right? And what is missing is an investment in vocational. Do you believe that there is a need for that? And as chair, would you use your bully pulpit to push that?
There is no doubt, there is no doubt. I mean, that's, some of things like invocation and others, I kind of find it so strange, honestly. To me, it should be basic stuff. This is basic stuff, right? So you have to do that in order to take those steps forward. Without that, we are promoting the same old status quo.
Right.
And when you look at what just went down in the last primary, I think there was a very clear and consistent string that the electorate was screaming, and that was, we want new faces, new energy, new ideas. We're no longer down with the status quo, and I agree with that. And I think as a party, you have to always be willing to understand the electorate, but more importantly, you got to move with it. You have to be the advocate for the people. The policy that I've been running on is that this is about us. This is about we. It's not about me. I don't need another title in my life. I'm not looking for another title. I'm looking to be the voice to push these things forward and bring along a team of people that can advocate. And there's your next 3, 4, 5 chairs for the next several generations. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. All right. As far as policing, I think you covered it a little bit. What is your position for police oversight?
Look, there is no question that, we've all seen it. We all know it. Systemic racism is there. Even if it's only one, it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 50 or 500 or 50,000. One is too many. There needs to be better education, both to the police, that they have to be retrained in their thinking. This predisposition of whatever they think that they're seeing has to stop. And so, again, I would like to advocate for those things. I think it's also, there's another serious educational matter there, in that, it's notable. You, I think, or someone mentioned the difference between the southern end of the county and the northern end of the county. There is no question that we over-police certain areas, and we over-police certain areas based on perceived bias and other ridiculous factors. So that has to stop. I really, it bothers me. And I say that not just for it to be a talking point. I mentioned I grew up in Nyack. Nyack had, when I went to high school, it was a large Haitian population. We had a large African-American population, and I hung out with a lot of those people. I was in a car with people, and this is 30 years ago, where we would get pulled over, and it was my car, but I'd get pulled over, and the officer's shining a flashlight in my eyes, and he's saying, "You all right? You know these guys? Are these guys friends of yours? How do you know them?" And I was like, "Yeah, we go to school together. These are my friends. We hang out." So, I mean, that was 30 years ago. And it is, we have seen in my lifetime, I wasn't young enough to really participate in the civil rights movements of the 60s, but I am a byproduct of that. And I also find and feel that we have seen a very slow and serious erosion of a lot of those equal rights and civil rights in the last 30 years. It's on high freaking octane acceleration now because of Donald Trump. But man, we got to get our act together. We got to regroup as a party, and we have to address these things, and understand them and actually do something, not just talk about it.
Mm-hmm. As chair, there has been, when we're discussing police oversight, there's also been a question in Westchester County, in the 43 municipalities, the lack of the lack of Black and brown officers. I mean, some police departments, they have less than 10, less than 20. Where you as chair work with local municipalities and local organizations to try to increase the number of Black and brown officers in these municipality police departments.
Yeah, so currently Mount Kisco is part of the Westchester County Police, but prior to that happening, I was participating when Mount Kisco had its own police department, and so I actively was in some discussions as part of the community outreach, and we were having discussions about where the recruiting was occurring and how it was occurring, and why aren't there more Black and brown individuals that are being looked at for those positions, and in the instances where there are Black and brown officers, why aren't they being promoted? Why are they being held back? And I have long been of the belief that you have to promote the best people, and if the best people don't fit the narrative that you like, then too bad, so sad. There are we all know there's a multitude of brilliant officers that are out there, and people who would be more inclined to even become an officer. I think one of the disconnects there is because you, just like the NFL and a lot of other places, because you don't see people of color as coaches, or you don't see people of color that are officers on a police force, that reinforces the narrative for the young men and ladies out there that say, gee, I'm not going to go down that path because that's a ceiling that's going to prevent me from having any growth. So I do think one helps the other, and it opens it all up. So okay. I'd be using the pulpit in that capacity to have discussions on all levels, from the smallest villages up to the state level, and anywhere that I can be of any help to do that.
Okay, great. Black business, right? Like the main thing is, Westchester needs more Black businesses, and with this COVID, as everything, when white America catch a cold, Black America catches the flu, and with this and with this COVID, we're losing a lot of Black businesses. As my family owned multiple businesses, and we understand the need. As chairman, again, I mean, we know you really can't create legislation or nothing like that, but will you use that bully pulpit to move forward in the need of trying to help Black businesses stay within their offices? We did a whole story about Wheezy D, a clothing store that was trying to get pushed out by their landlord because she went through COVID. Will you use your bully pulpit to support Black businesses and to support a growth of Black businesses in Westchester County?
Yes, without a doubt. In fact, so I own a small business. I own a renewable energy company. Mm-hmm. When we are predominantly in the Con Ed footprint. So we sell wind, solar, hydro, geothermal, and other sustainable, energy. there's a lot of misinformation out there that I'm in fossil fuels and crude oil and this, that, and the other thing. Categorically false, not true. 42% of the businesses that I provide service to are bars and restaurants, and many of those are owned by Black and brown individuals. So during this COVID crisis, we have gone out of our, we have opened up our policies here, and we have extended credit for up to 6 months for not, turning them off. So, in terms of electrical services or heat. So those are things that I believe in, but more specifically, and to your point, I would advocate for more activity from a legislative perspective, both from the county and from the states. We need to make it easier for Black businesses to have access to credits, to have access to other means of funding that are frequently available to white businesses or other businesses. There's a major disconnect there, and that is also something that we have to fix. So I would advocate for those things. I would like to see more individuals opening up those businesses, and there's nothing that gives anyone more pride than starting a business. Any individual. So of course, core to the Democratic Party should be advocating for all people to have that ability to start a business, make for themselves, and pass on and back to the future generations. That should be core, and it will be core under my chairmanship when I'm elected.
Let me real quick, Damon. I'm watching the clock, so please let me know when I guess.
I just have one more question,
Okay.
and we'll call it a day, because Susan Berger has came. She's in the waiting room.
Okay,
so
that's what I needed to know. And I want to give Bob one chance to ask at least one question.
Absolutely. Lisa Burton, she made a valid she made a valid point, which it was a couple of articles on even the national DNC not doing business with Black businesses, Black printing companies, Black advertising businesses, Black, even though Black people give their vote faithfully to the Democratic Party, but when it comes around elections, the party itself does not support Black businesses in those type of areas. As chair, will you look to do that more when
one of the things I plan, that's a great question. Thanks for asking it. One of the things that I really plan on doing is we need to raise much more money. We need to raise more money for the party inside and outside. But that means having events. That means having fundraising. Mm-hmm. Those events and fundraisers, we should be holding events, other than, the major hotels and catering halls that are in the area. There are plenty of facilities that are owned by Black and brown businesses, and we should be reaching out to them. We should be hosting, and fundraising is also, that's a misnomer too. Everybody wants to have these $500 a person fundraisers. That's great for the people who can do that, but we need fundraisers that are going to be $25, $30 a person, so we can get
affordable,
more of the rank and file people involved. And we should utilize the local community to do that, which also does a couple of things. It provides revenue for those local businesses. More importantly, it may also go back into the other points we were talking about earlier. That provides an opportunity for people to want to get more involved and be engaged in the party, maybe, because they're seeing that. They're seeing the outreach, and they get excited by it. I was excited by things like that when I was young. That's why I wanted to get involved in policy. So absolutely, at a minimum, we can do those things. And we probably should look at, a percentage of every expenditure that we have as a Westchester County Democratic Committee that should be expended and afforded to Black and brown businesses.
Dr. Bob, did you have any questions in the last few minutes that we have Bill here?
Yes, Mr. Serratore. Serratore, how are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
All right, and to all of my co-hosts, it's good to be back with you guys.
Hey.
So, Mr. Serratore, while I certainly think we all are encouraged by changes in policy that you'd like to see advocated within the party, and your willingness to use the bully pulpit of the chair to advance those, the real aim of the party fundamentally is the mobilization of voters. And I would like to know what you see as being the chief challenge to the mobilization and expansion even of the electorate here in Westchester County, and what kind of internal policies would you embrace so that you could meet those challenges?
I've actually been speaking about that, and that is one of the core points of the platform that I'm looking to bring into fruition here. So we have some tools that we use for that, like Van, but they are woefully, not up to speed. We need to beef that up. We need to make it so that every district leader or anyone that's involved in the process can have that look down and see everything that is in everyone that is in their community, not just at voting time, not just when it's time to collect petitions or do GOTV. When we have issues that need to be discussed, when there is a local issue that is being proposed or a proposition that is on the ballot, we need to utilize those tools and other innovative tools to be able to provide that information to everyone so that we can educate the rank and file voters as to what's going on. That also gives engagement. Engagement is the key that can build upon all of these other things. Reach is another program. Slack is another program. The money that we would raise for the party, I would like to see reinvested in these types of efforts so we can have that open dialogue and communication, so that someone from Mount Vernon should be able to talk to somebody in Mount Kisco and vice versa. And we can all be collectively and unifyingly engaged so that we can participate better in all of those activities. So I hope that gives you a glimpse up to the type of things that I'm looking to do pursuant to your question.
Yes, that's fine. Yes, I appreciate it.
As we're about to go into time permitting, we're about to go into our next guest. Before I do, I wanted to give you a chance to briefly, anything we didn't ask you that you want people to know about you or anything like that. I want to give you like a minute or two to capitalize, to utilize that time as we go to our next guest.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciated being here tonight. I love all these questions. And one of the reasons that I have selected the folks that I have chosen to be on my leadership team is I want this type of dialogue. I don't want to be surrounded by yes people. If I say I want to paint a fence blue, I don't want people to say, okay, fine, let's paint the fence blue. I want people to tell me, no, that's a bad idea and here's why. Or here's a better idea. Or here's something else that you're not even thinking about. Though that's really what I'm looking for here. I know people are looking at my policies and hearing me talk. And many probably feel, yeah, this is just all good talking points. I am trying to put into action and walk my talk here. The people that I have chosen, the people who want to run, the people who are choosing to step up at this moment in time to be transformative are the people that can create all of this change. I look forward to being challenged. I hope if I am chair, I hope you do give me fits at night. I hope you continue to press me, challenge me, and give me everything you got, because I am open and willing to learn and grow. I'm not arrogant or educated enough to think that I know everything, because I surely don't. There's a lot that I don't know. I need you, and hopefully you need me, and we lock arms together, and we're going to march forward, no looking back now, and we're going to bring this party where we need to be.
So thank you very much for your time. We wish you well. I will, if you do win, I do have you on tape, and I will hold you accountable as far as the supporting Black business and advertising, because I got you on tape saying it. So you will hear from me.
No worries. I'll
Anyway.
give you my cell phone too. I look forward to that.
All right. We thank you very much for being here, and hopefully we'll have more. If you win, he was already gone. So
I don't think he meant that. I don't think. Oh, he meant to leave. But anyway, good luck, Bill.
yeah, good luck, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, so we're going to go into our next candidate. Lorraine, what's her name?
Suzanne Berger.
Suzanne Berger, and she is the Greenberg Democratic Committee Chair. And she is also running for this position that was held by Reggie Lafayette for 16 years or so, the Westchester County Democratic Committee Chair. Welcome to the show, People Before Politics in Black Westchester. Suzanne Berger, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm so pleased to be on the show. I picked up a copy of your magazine when I was at UX, or newspaper, I guess I should say. And you got a lot of great advertising in there. So
can we hit you up for advertising if you win? Now that we got you.
You know, I noticed that because I when I run races for candidates, I always make sure we advertise in the county press, which is another Black paper in the county, and that is maybe perhaps in higher circulation in Greenberg than Black Westchester is, at least to my perception. So I'm happy to add this to our list, going forward. And if I ascend to the county level, then obviously we need a countywide list of papers, and not just, we were working in Greenberg, so we were advertising in papers that were circulated in Greenberg.
Right. Well, we're expanding our reach in Greenberg, and as of late, when we put them out, they go as fast as we put them out. So we'll probably have to increase the amount that we put out. My first question for you comes from a city council woman from one of the municipalities of Westchester, who is a district leader and will probably be one of the people that will have to cast a vote for you or your opponent. And the question is, how will your leadership be different from that of the past? Please be specific.
My principle is to lead a team, but not to be the only person on the team. So I look forward to having a really active, engaged executive committee, and frankly, all the district leaders in the county. That was true in part before with Reggie. He had people he worked with, and that was great. But I think we need to make more of an effort to work with a broader group of people, so we get more done, for one thing, and we get more input into different ways of doing things and not doing things always the same old way. We have to improve one of the jobs of the county committee is to let Democrats in the county know that we're there, frankly. And we haven't done a really good job of that. We need a better updated website. We need better social media. When our elected officials are out speaking, which they do, we need to be there. The local party needs to be there, and the county party needs to be there, because that way, if the audience likes what they're hearing from the elected official, they know that they can help get them reelected. And if they don't like what they're hearing, they can let us know that we need to work on a different platform for our elected officials. But the party has a role in that. And so we need to be there in the communities to hear from the people. of Westchester, the people before politics, right?
Absolutely. I'm gonna kick the question in over to Damon, but I just want one of our listeners typed in that we are largely distributed in a lot of the Black churches. So maybe that if you're not, that is one of our big drop-off points. All the Black churches and then City Hall and some other places, Town Hall, some other places.
At Union Baptist and
yes, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, all the Black. I'm from Greenburgh, graduated from Woodlands High School, so I know all the churches and everything. So all the churches get it. The Greenburgh Library gets it, and
Town Center,
and the Town Center,
Theater Young, yeah.
The community center too. Yeah, the community center gets it too. Yes.
So so you want Lorraine to ask her questions, and then I'll go left.
Oh, so Lorraine, why don't we'll let you kick it off.
Yeah.
All right, before I ask my question pertaining to Latino, something came up that I saw on Facebook right prior to tuning in. Catherine Berger put up a post. Did you see it?
Catherine Letter Plaskett, you mean?
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Catherine, I forgot her last name. Anyway, you got the endorsement from Choice Matters WCLA?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And she's claiming, she's asking you to denounce it and not to accept the endorsement because according to the organization, they said that you're the only pro-choice candidate.
That's not. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh wait, no. For the audience. They're saying that you got endorsed by a pro-choice organization, and the organization in their endorsement said that your opponent that you're the only one that's pro-choice, and they feel that that it's a lie because your opponent is pro-choice and they don't want any lies or negativity, and let's not do this during the this race.
Just real quick, Nadine Hunt Robinson, White Plains Common Council woman, said you're talking about Catherine Parker. That's who.
Thank you, Catherine Parker. Yes, thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you for bringing that up. I'm proud to have the endorsement of WCLA Choice Matters, one of the oldest pro-choice organizations in Westchester County. We have worked closely with them. That is, we, the Greenburgh Democratic Committee, have worked closely with them because our district leaders want to know that the candidates that we consider for endorsement are pro-choice. So they don't have veto power, but we ask for their input and then they come to us. The endorsement they gave me was because of the actions I've taken to support choice. The endorsement did not say that my opponent is anti-choice or not pro-choice. It said that he has not taken the actions that I have taken to support choice.
No, the statement was that you are the only candidate that's pro-choice.
No, that's not what the endorsement says. The endorsement says I'm the only candidate who has taken these actions with respect to choice.
Well, I'm glad you cleared it up.
So,
and just so I was reading Bill, I just was reading the bio and stuff that I got. One of his things says that he is pro-choice. So I just wanted to for any clarification to anybody who doesn't know.
Right. I've never said he's not pro-choice, and WCLA did not say he was not pro-choice. I know there are double negatives in there, and I'm sorry for that. What the endorsement said was that I had been actively working for choice, and he had not. That doesn't mean that he doesn't believe in choice.
Right.
Okay.
No, well, I think it was.
I got it. We can move on from that. I just wanted you to clarify.
I just made clarity from the comments in the group. Maybe not you per se, but from the comments is saying that it was a statement from WCLA. That's
what I got too.
Right. Not you, Susan. It was WCLA.
No, that's why I said WC.
And I'm going to add that I looked at it briefly beforehand, and all those people with one exception, have already endorsed my opponent. So, you know, let's take it like that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Now let me ask you. Now, like I told your opponent, Biden and Harris have taken the Latino community for granted. We are actually the largest minority Black voters out there. What specifically are you going to do to reach out to more Latinos, not only as far as registering them to vote, making them district leaders so that they can participate, but also making them district leaders so that they can participate in the process and getting more Latinos elected?
Okay. So part of this is I'm running on my record. And in Greenberg, we've gotten Hispanic district leaders involved. I've gotten the endorsement of the Hispanic Democrats of Westchester. Because of that, I work closely to elect Walter Rivera first to the town court, and then to move him up to the New York State Court of Claims. We worked with the Hispanic Democrats to find a Hispanic candidate to run for town office. We have no currently Hispanics on the town board or in town elected officials. We as Democrats thought we needed some. We recruited somebody. Maria Portilla ran for town clerk. She did not succeed. She lost by a few hundred votes against the incumbent. That was fine. But the Hispanic community got engaged. And I think next time they will be more successful. But the reason we had a Hispanic candidate was because we reached out to find one. And that's what we need to do. And we're getting more and more district leaders who are Hispanic as well. So I completely agree with your premise. And not to list names, but my district leader list is posted on the Greenberg Democratic website, and you can check out.
Yeah, I know all the things you've done for Greenberg, and I applaud that too. And I know Hispanic Democrats of Westchester, Robin McCall, I respect her very much. I love Jonathan Campanaro, but they're not here in Yonkers, where I'm at. You know, so I see what you're doing. I just need you to be able to expand that to reach all over the county.
Yeah. I intend to work with Robin, with Jimena, who are the co-chairs, with Jonathan and others to expand that throughout the county.
Okay, but not as okay. Let me put it this way. You know, when sometimes when I like just now I asked you, what are you going to do to have more Hispanic inclusion? You gave me the name of an organization, which is a wonderful organization, and I applaud that. But I'm not asking. I'm asking what Westchester County Committee is going to do. Not bring it to the organization and tell Westchester Hispanics you need to bring in more Hispanics. You understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes when I ask these questions, people will throw something at me, and that doesn't pacify me. Well, I need to know more specific. Like, what are you going to? Okay, let me ask. Are you going to engage with the local chairs? Are you going to ask them, you know, to have more participation with the Latinos? More programs, more outreach. What kind of outreach?
Yes, and it has been pointed out to me that our materials are not in Spanish; they're only in English, and we need to change that too, so that when we have a new district leader, we can give materials in the language, not only in English, but in Spanish too, if that is helpful. So that I think will both increase engagement and increase people's interest, because they know that we are interested in them joining us because we're speaking their language, so to speak. So that's another thing that we can do.
What are you going to do to enlarge the base, expand the base with getting more African Americans, brown and Black voters? Sometimes I look at the Democratic Party and I look at sometimes they ignore the blocks that don't vote. They don't expand to try to include them. They just cater to the ones that are already registered and vote. And I see that throughout the county and locally in some of the municipalities.
Let me try to answer. There's a couple of answers to your question. Let me start this way. If I am elected chair, or when I'm elected chair, I will owe that in large part to the Black Democrats of Westchester, to the Black Women's Political Caucus, and other Black leaders in this county. They have been supportive of me. Serratore Khan-Halevi is going to be on the executive committee with me, as will Terry Clemens if I'm elected. And so I won't forget who it was that helped me get there. And we need to work together to make sure that we expand those communities, because it's only when we have expanded Democratic voters that we win overwhelmingly, and we need to do that. We
right.
haven't.
And I just want to be clear too. I know you mentioned the organizations you mentioned are usually those registered people that people pay attention to, not the ignored ones that are not registered. So I just want to be clear. I know, I understand what you're saying, but I just wanted to throw that out there because.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But there's a difference between me going into a Black community and telling people to vote, and having Black people go into that community and talk to them about why it's important to vote.
It depends on the Black person you send.
Okay.
Yes. All Black people are not Black.
It all depends on the Black person you send when you're dealing with grassroots. I mean, not every Black person, not every Black person is considered Black in the Black community.
Right? The same thing for Latinos.
So, I mean,
it's not like I'm going to hand it over to this group. It's like, okay, I'm taking over the county. What am I going to do with my group? Hey, listen, we asked a tough questions, honey. I'm sorry.
Damon, you're correct, and I don't mean to, but I do think we have to find people to talk to, people who can properly relate to them, and not. You're right. It's not a monolithic community. Any of our communities.
I'm gonna hand it over to Damon, but one of our listeners, Sandy Barnaby from the Anti-Racism Alliance, she said, "Nothing will replace your physical presence in the communities that you hope to rally votes from." It just came across the screen too.
Yeah.
That is true. I agree with that, Sandy. In my experience, it's particularly true in the African American communities in our county. They want to know that the leaders are there not just when they want votes, but before and after that as well. And that's why people get to know you, and they know they've seen you around and you're a familiar face, and you don't show up 3 weeks before the election and say, I'm going to help you out. And so that goes back to what I said before. When our elected officials come out to speak to you, we need to be there with them so they see us as part of the process.
David.
Okay. I'm going to ask you the same questions I asked Bill. You came in. I think you came into the room kind of at the end, but I think you brought up something that was you supported the Hispanic woman for town clerk, and I remember me, myself, and AJ. We were dealing with that issue, and the whole issue was around the Democratic Party not supporting Judith Baville, which was a Black woman who was loyal to the party. So, I mean, that was an issue with Judith and with people. I'm from Greenburgh, so with people in Greenburgh that happened and that she won. Maybe you can expound on that.
Let me start by saying that I think it's a mark of the success of Black elected officials when we can begin to run against them. Judith herself ran against Elfrida Williams, if you recall, back in 2007 for town clerk. So I don't subscribe to the theory that just because somebody is X, whether they whether they be Hispanic, Black, LGBT, or whatever, that means that we can't challenge them, and we need somebody else. Judith did not get the endorsement of the Greenberg Democratic Committee that time, and I'm the chair. It's my job to support the endorsed candidate. We did elect re-elect Ken Jones, and elect Gina Jackson, the first-time councilwoman.
Mhm.
So we have 2 Black elected officials on the town council now in Greenberg. So we were, the committee, I could be seen as trying to expand the representation around the town because we have no Hispanic population. Judith had a difficult tenure. I mean, we're not here to argue her merits, but I think because we have many Black elected officials, because she ran against another Black elected officials, to just say that a candidate's running against a Black elected official is somehow not to be done. It is not a productive way of having a discussion.
Okay. All right. I just needed to get that because that was, that was an issue. So we needed to clear that up. So people that are listening, and so we clear up all the rumors and whatever's all the back talk. So we want.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, the short answer to it is the committee endorsed somebody else, and it's my job as head of the committee to move along that way. So.
Okay. So we, as I told Bill, these are questions, and we deal with the Black and brown communities throughout Westchester County, and they're broken up into education, police, Black business, economic development, so the first question is, do you, as chair, would you support, or it's basically about using your bully pulpit, right? Because and this is not a slap at Reggie, but when there's a lot of issues, there's a lot of issues in the Black community throughout Westchester County. I don't know if you read the 1992 African American Advisory Report to Andrew O'Rourke back then, and basically what was in that report came true, right? The lack of economic development, the need for generational wealth in Black communities in Westchester, the lack of Black businesses, police brutality and oversight. This is 1992. So moving forward, we would think in the age of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, right, that we will see a little more advancement on a lot of issues. So one of the things, the questions are, as chair, do you see the need for better distribution of wealth throughout Westchester school systems?
The answer to that is yes. I think that we have to begin to move away from a pure property tax-based school system and look for
I'm sorry, these are the statements that come up.
Right.
Let's focus on the question.
No, it's not a question. Don't worry about it. They just come up. So
I think, I don't know. Louise has been on the Greenberg Democratic page, so whatever. We can talk later, okay?
Yeah.
I do think we need to rethink how we fund our schools. Mm-hmm. Because if schools are funded based on property tax alone, that means inequitable funding. And schools get some government funds from the state and from the feds, not so much from the feds. But if we looked more at a statewide basis of funding, then we would have greater equity in our schools. And that has to be the way to go, because otherwise we're just charging people who own homes or own property in communities. We have to charge them more in communities that can't support it. And that's really backwards. We need better schools in the poorer communities.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We could look at doing a platform piece on that.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. What's your position on vocational education? Because not everybody can go to college, right? And you know, and it seems that in Westchester, and especially the Black and brown communities, the lack of access to vocational training is definitely needed.
I think it was a mistake to decide that everybody should go to a 4-year college, and that was the only means for success. I think that we need to relook at that. I do believe that Westchester Community College has some fine programs that are certificate type programs, 2-year programs to train people that work in together with businesses like Con Edison to train people to be linemen or something, where they know that a lot of the existing workforce will be retiring in the next 5 years, and they can train people. And those are Westchester Community College is partially funded by the county, partially by the state. And the programs are not large. They could be larger if there was more money to go around or more businesses wanted to partner there. But I sincerely believe that that is something that needs to be looked at again. And there are some programs, and we need to expand them. Okay,
great. Thank you. As far as police, what is your position on police oversight in Westchester County?
There should be police oversight.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need civilian police oversight. I think that the state legislature has made some strides recently in that by allowing police records to become available so that officers that were problematic, their records will be known in trials. So I think we're moving in the right direction. I think Westchester is a particularly difficult place for that because we have so many different police departments. The county police, we have the county police, but really you're talking about the 28 municipal police departments plus the villages that you have to have oversight and reform. And I think it starts with better training. Not all the local police departments go for training because they're too small to let people be away for 2 weeks. That's a real problem. And that's something that we should be easily able to solve by sharing more and allowing people to get trained in best practices and so forth. That would help.
Okay. How would you work with local municipalities? Because we see that a lot of the issues in police departments is the lack of Black and brown officers and supervisors and heads of police departments. How would you work with municipalities to push that agenda to get more Black and brown people on the police forces?
As a party chair, I would have no direct power to do that.
Right. No, we know that, but using the bully pulpit.
Right. I come back to we need a platform. Okay. Parties speak through their platform planks. And if we had a platform plank that talked about that, we could go out and credibly speak about it, because that would mean we came to consensus as a Democratic Party that that is a goal, set a timeline for that goal, and then we can go out and speak to it. And more importantly, when we make endorsements for elected officials, we can ask them to speak to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. Will you advocate for increasing Black businesses and support of Black businesses in Westchester County?
Yes. I'm trying to remember. There was a Black Lives Matter event in Ardsley, I believe. There were several of them, but at the one in Ardsley, they had a handout of all the Black businesses, or I don't know, 2 pages of Black businesses in Southern Westchester. And I still have the list, and I look at it from time to time. And frankly, there are businesses on there that I was not aware of before, even though I've lived here for 30 years. And so I do think that we should communicate better about these resources and businesses, and people will patronize them if they know about them. And we can have our fundraisers at them sometimes, get people to know them, because I know we have a fundraiser at a restaurant and then people go back to it again, so we can do that sort of thing to help.
Okay. I'm taking a question from Sandy Bernarby. I have this question and one more. Will you push elected officials or advise elected officials to pass laws with racial equity legislation? Looking through legislation and laws throughout the 43 municipalities and the county, and how laws are passed and how these laws will affect the Black and brown communities.
Are you talking about housing laws and that sort of thing?
I'm talking about all legislation. Looking through legislation with racial equity. See, part of the problem we have is that laws and legislations are passed that do not look at the effect it has on Black and brown communities. And this was the issue coming out of the 1992 report to Andrew O'Rourke, because laws and legislations are passed. And to make it easier, Michelle Alexander's book, right, The New Jim Crow.
Right, I read that, yes.
Exactly. So if you read it, you understand she documented 30 years of legislation that was passed that created the new Jim Crow. So if laws was looked at with a racial equity lens, right, we wouldn't have the new Jim Crow today. You understand what I'm saying? Because these laws would have looked and said, no, these laws would adversely affect Black and brown people. Another example, right? Joe Biden is being beat up right now because he supported the crime bill.
Yes.
If the crime bill was looked at through racial equity, they would have saw that it was going to create an adverse effect in Black and brown communities. So, to push our elected officials in Westchester to look at these laws, when you look at these laws and legislation, let's run it through racial equity and how will these laws affect poor people and Black and brown people. That's what looking through with racial equity.
When legislation is proposed in Albany, you probably know this. There's always a bill package that goes with it, and it talks about the financial impact of legislation, and it talks about the impact on various agencies and so forth. And so, yes, I think it's a good idea to have a specific analysis of whether a legislation will have a disparate impact or any impact on different communities, and evaluate that as part of the legislation.
Okay, great. And the last question is, we asked Bill the same question. There have been issues on the national level with the national DNC with the National Democratic Party not doing businesses with Black and brown companies, right? Whether it's PR firms, printing companies, and all other companies, when they go to, they're predominantly white. It's just a small percentage of Black and brown companies that get services, all millions of dollars that go through the DNC, and that's paid for advertisement and different businesses associated with campaigns. Is majority white. So the question was asked, as chair, will you push to have more Black and brown businesses get business?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
I talked before about holding fundraisers at different places that are Black and brown or Hispanic. Printing is another thing. I mean, we usually look to go to union printers. And so I'm sure we can find some that accomplish both. But it's an important thing to look at, to do business with all our constituencies. So yes.
Okay.
As you see, we're an interactive show, so I noticed you see the comments coming up.
Oh wait, AJ, I want to ask, with the Bob's question, and basically I'm going to paraphrase it because every question we gave Bill, we want to give to Susan.
Okay.
What is your platform to give? What will you be? What will your platform be to get people involved? Like those people, those grassroots people that do not believe in the two-party system, that really don't have any faith in what's going on. Those grassroots people that really just say the hell with it, nothing's going to change. I'm not going to come out. You know, what would be your platform to reach those people and even reach the progressive left, right? To
That's
bring
the question I was going to ask you.
Right, to bring them in. What will be your platform to do that as chair?
I think if we take steps that result in change and action, and then we can show that will be the best advertisement for bringing people in who now are disillusioned with government. Since Ronald Reagan, maybe before, Republicans have told people government is the problem, government is evil. And we've sort of let people buy into that. We need to change that. We need to show we can have positive change as Democrats. We need to make sure we get health care to all, to give one example. We need to work on the campaign finance reform, so it's not just with with big pockets that get to have an influence, but it's the actual voter. Democratic district leaders have an influence. The Democratic elected officials need us to get elected. They need us to carry petitions. They need us to go out and do that sort of stuff. It's not about money. So we can exercise our rights without having deep pockets. And that's what we need to explain to people, that you can have an influence. If you come to our events, you can see your local elected official up close. You can touch them. You know, at least before COVID, you could. And, you know, hopefully again, and that you can make a difference if you participate. And somehow that's the message we need to get out.
Lorraine, did you have any more questions?
Well, I just want to say we can get those district leaders to come, but like you said, you got to bring out the message. I don't know what your plan is, but I hope you know, we get that message out there to get them more engaged and to become the district leaders so that they can vote people like yourself in as party chair. What role are the youth going to have in the Westchester County Democratic Committee?
I'm sorry, what role am I going to have?
The youth.
No, the youth.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Thank you. Youth are a very important constituency. They are our future, and they are involved now, at least to some extent, in the presidential election and the election now. We need to keep them involved. The number one issue among many youth is climate change and the effect that will have on their future going forward. They're concerned about economics. They're concerned about paying rent.
Education.
All those pocketbook issues. But if we can engage them on one of those core issues for them and show them that their voices can make a difference, then we can keep them engaged. It's the sense of futility that keeps people outside the system. And if we began to make some change here in Westchester, we have 2 new Congress people. Mondaire Jones, assuming he's elected in November, he does have Republican opposition, so get out and vote for him. And Jamal Bowman in CD 16. And they will begin to bring change, and people will see that new people can bring new ideas.
Following up on what Lorraine asked about the youth, one of Black Westchester's, the editor of Black Westchester, have been critical. 2 things. One, I've been critical on the former, well, I guess the current Westchester District, Reggie Lafayette, and his multiple hats he wore, that it was a conflict of interest to be the party chair and then the BOE commissioner. If elected, will we have to worry about you wearing all these different hats, or are you gonna,
No.
or do you think it's a conflict of interest? I mean, first off,
It's not illegal. The law permits it. Okay.
well, but I said conflict of interest. See the difference. Yeah.
I understand. I think that it is perceived as a conflict of interest, and we should not do it anymore. Reggie has been careful that when he he has a deputy, he can step aside, whatever. I know people don't agree with that, but whatever happened in the past, we should be better than that. We should split the offices. I'm running for party chair. I'm not running for commissioner. Reggie will continue to serve as commissioner for the rest of his 2-year term, God willing, or whatever, and in 2 years, the party will have an opportunity to decide who to nominate for the next commissioner, and it should not be the same person as the party chair.
That's where I wanted to go. And again, not to just pick on Reggie, because Doug Colte is also doing it on the other side.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's
Yeah.
I think I have a problem with is a conflict of interest, period, for me.
And it's common in other counties too. So that's why I'm trying to,
Right. No, I understand. I know there's some there's legislation that has not gone anywhere, that has not passed, but it's still just sitting there trying to get through to make that a law, that you can't not do both things. Like I know there's current bills being passed around that have not made it through the last few years. Now, one of my other problems with Reggie and a lot of other leadership is they get these positions and they hold on to them forever. So in the African American community, a lot of people are a little disappointed, myself included. Reggie's been there 16 something years, and now he stepped down without grooming, say, another African American to even run or for the position. You know what I'm saying? Not to say it can only be an African American, but we have a lack of leadership, a lack of color in leadership positions. We had one, and a lot of people were a little nervous about him stepping down. And then, I believe that leaders create other leaders. He didn't groom anybody to take his place. And I just wanted to speak to that. How do you feel about your opponent said possible term limits he would suggest? How do you feel about all of that I just said?
First of all, I know I don't look it, but I'm over 60. So I don't think that should be a concern in my particular case, that I'm going to be around for 16, serve for 16 more years. Our prior chairs have served, for 4 years or 6 years and then stepped down. I'm not necessarily, I'm generally not in favor of term limits as a general rule. I think that's up to the voters. If the county committee thinks that the chair needs to be changed, then there's a vote every 2 years. So, and if the chairman or chairwoman is doing a good job, then they should be reelected. And I do think there should be change. I'm not sure. I don't know. I've heard Bill say that he's in favor of term limits, but I haven't heard him say whether that's a 2-year term or a 20-year term.
Well, I think he said 2 terms. I think he said 2
terms. Yeah.
Yeah, he said 2.
Okay.
How many years did you serve as chair? And in your committee? I'm just
18. And
okay.
But I want to say that I have several times offered to turn over the gavel, but the committee thought I was doing a good job and so wanted me to continue. I am ready to move on. I think Greenberg has an active, cohesive committee, from all areas of the town, and I'd like to move on. If the committee's in favor of term limits, that's fine. My personal wish is not to stay for a decade. So it's not about me. It's just as a matter of policy, I think. I mean, you see it in the United States Congress too. If you had seniority is important, institutional knowledge is important, you know, and frankly,
But look at what happened to Engel after a while.
and the voters made a decision, right? I mean, the voters didn't need term limits. They made a decision.
So
And
I want to.
that's the way it should go.
Right. I want to be fair. I'm looking at the time. I want to make sure I'm giving y'all even time. So he had about 40 minutes. You have a little bit more. But so I wanted to ask you any last words, anything we didn't ask you, anything that you want to get out to the people before we end our interview.
Okay, I want to thank you. Thank you. I want to thank everybody here for this opportunity to speak tonight. This is an important position for the Democrats in the county. I'm running on my record as chair for 18 years, as I just said, in the town of Greenburgh. Greenburgh is the second largest Democratic committee in the county, second only to Yonkers. We have 162 district leaders, 6 villages, 7 areas. We're a diverse community, African American, Hispanic, high economic, low economic, and the district leaders are not picked by me. They're picked by the people in their areas and villages. And it's my job to try to bring some consensus to it and work with this diverse group of people. And I think I've done a reasonably good job, and I'm ready to take it to a higher level.
Well, as I was saying to Bill, as he was signing off, and I say to you, well, I had no real interaction with the Greenburgh Democratic Committee. I hope as if you win, that you will utilize us as the media that reaches predominantly out to our Black and Brown communities, and we're, you know, throughout the county. You will utilize us more, and you know, that's my hope, to be able to work with you on that level.
That's what campaigns are about. Thank you. That's what campaigns are about, for us to meet you, you to meet us, and to get to know each other and cement those relationships. If we just, you know, appointed people or whatever, that wouldn't be happening. So this is a good process. And, you know, I'm glad we had this opportunity to speak, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I wish you luck. I see your lengthy list of people in supporting you. I wish you well. And if you win, I want to follow up with you and you know, talk about where we go from here.
I'd like to do that. And, you know, as I said, I want this platform to reflect us, and I want input. And we talked about some concepts here today, and we need to take them further to make them more concrete, at least, in, you know, so.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
So that has been our Westchester County Democratic Chair.
Yeah, we still, who's been, Mary Ann Carter.
Oh, she's still sitting there?
Yeah.
I didn't forget she was there. We don't have much time. Bring her in. We give her a little bit of time.
I can't, her. Oh, she muted herself. Mary Ann. Oh, there you go.
Hey, how are you doing? And let me apologize for just getting to you. I thought it was important. We started a little late with Bill, and I thought it was important to give each candidate kind of equal time. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to make sure they each got their time, and the panel was able to ask them a wealth of questions, which I believe we did. But real quick, since we only have a few minutes left, tell us who you are.
Well, we can rock
actually,
out.
we can rock out.
We're not in the studio anymore.
We're not in the studio no more, so we can talk. We can just extend it. Yeah. We don't have the time limitation of we got to get off in 10 minutes. But yes, introduce yourself to people. Who are you?
Well, hi, Black Westchester Magazine. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for allowing me to have these few minutes. I'm Mary Ann Carr, and I'm running as the first vice chair for the Westchester County Democratic Committee. I'm running on the ticket with Bill Serratore, and I'm proud to be on that ticket with Bill. So, yeah, and I'm currently serving as a deputy supervisor in the town of Bedford. I was elected twice there as a town councilwoman. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm a mother of a 22-year-old daughter who is the pride of my life. And so that's who I am.
Absolutely. And it's a pleasure meeting you for the first time. I tried to get to know all of our elected officials of color, and it's a big county, so I've not got to meet all of you. This is my first time meeting you. So we talked briefly. I know, Reggie Lafayette held that position for some years, and a lot of people were concerned that him stepping down would be the lack of African-American leadership in that type of position. And you decided to team up on a ticket with Bill. Why is that? And what do you feel that he would do, for the communities of color?
That's a great question. Thanks, AJ, because obviously, being an African-American woman, I know how underrepresented we are in all spectrums, from, political offices to corporate to education, all across the board. We are totally underrepresented, people of Black and brown. And so, but I can truly say that Bill is a sincere, good person. I've worked with him for a number of years. He's, neighboring town. He's the chair of Mount Kisco. And I also might add, I am the chair of the Bedford Democratic Committee. So,
okay.
So we've had to work hand in hand together to get candidates elected. And, one of those candidates where it was just a really steep climb was Peter Harcum, who was running against, a very, very entrenched Republican. And, Bill was just probably, one of the forefront leaders in helping Peter, acquire some space, to use as a headquarters site. It was a monumental task. It required all hands on deck, but it also required some leadership. And, Bill has always proven that, if there's an ask, he's going to just, be resourceful and try to work with and collaborate and try to find a solution. And that's who he is. And so that's why I joined with him, because I know who he is. I've worked with him before. And I see him as a person with great integrity and someone who really is truly devoted to making sure that there is really a diverse team that is at the table with him, not just in name only, but has a voice, and he's willing to listen. He never takes things as a personal attack. He's open to criticism. He's open to learning, and readjusting where he needs to readjust in case there's, a better strategy or a better plan than what he has already had in his mind. So it makes a difference with being able to collaborate and being able to have someone who you can just really feel like they have the interests of the public and the committee, and that they make sure that everybody that's sitting there with him is important, not just him.
As an African-American woman, and as a city committee chair, person of color, what would you like to see? What do you think where we need to go as far as the county Democrats, as far as people of color, as far as maybe enhancing the base, like reaching out to those who are disenfranchised, those who, my criticism of the Democrats is they cater to the ones that's already registered. They don't go out to all of those unregistered voters, and they don't try to expand the base. And I see that a lot in the communities of color throughout Westchester.
That's correct. We definitely have a lot of work to do in the community of color, and especially with our young people. I think that for the most part, we just, we stop trying to connect with people. We look at our own little individual, committees. And the one thing that I can say is that whenever there's something going on that has to do with, trying to reach our young people, trying to bring more people into this process and educating them about the process and getting them engaged, I'm usually there. I'm always trying to work to make sure that, people of color understand that the power of their vote can change the way things are legislated for them and about them. And so I'm just committed to doing that. And this, I know what it feels like to be disenfranchised. I'm a Black woman. My parents were disenfranchised. So I know what it feels like to be undermined, to be marginalized. So I make it a priority to go out and reach out to young people, people of color particularly, to let them know that your voice, your vote is the surest way to changing policy that affects you.
Now, I was we had a race in Mount Vernon, and it was a Democratic primary and for mayor, and one of the candidates that lost was also endorsed by the Republican Party. And I ended up having these really interesting conversations when you look at the state of, and I'm just talking exclusively about Mount Vernon as an example. When you look at the state of Mount Vernon, it's been Black leadership and it's been Democratic rule. The fact that Mount Vernon was in the state that it was in had nothing to do with the Republicans. You know what I'm saying? Like we throw stuff on, but we have failed our people, and the Democrats as a whole, I see, have taken the, especially African American vote, but probably the Latino vote too. I speak more.
Both, definitely the Latino vote. Right.
Taking them for granted. But then again, a lot of our people do that row A all the way. So, if you're going to vote for me anyway, why do I have to pay attention to what you need and what you want? How do we rectify that? Catering to why Black people should stay Democrat.
Well,
why should Black people support Democrats?
I totally. The one thing that we should not do is definitely not take anyone for granted, and we definitely should not take the Black and brown vote for granted. I know in this national election, the Black and brown vote will be very, very important, and probably will be the vote that will decide the next presidency. So the one thing that you have to always do is communicate such that they understand, be able to connect. If you can't connect with the person, you can't engage with them, then you're not going to be able to get their attention and have them listen to you. So I just feel like someone who's worked in various settings among various different social, economic, racial, and ethnicity, with people with different cultures and ethnicities, someone who's worked in corporate all of my professional life. I've been in different settings. I know what it means to be able to connect with the person. And if you can't connect and they don't trust you, then they're not going to listen to you, because they feel like, hey, you're just another person there to give them some rhetoric, and you need the vote. And you need their vote. So it's really about gaining that respect and trust and having them see the sincerity in you, to let them know that their voice truly does matter. The people who decide how much, unemployment or how much affordable housing that will be available, these are your vote. When we talk about the judges, the reason Trayvon Martin didn't get his due, the reason some of these other victims that fell to police brutality didn't get their just due, it's because the people who were on the bench were not voted on by African Americans or people of color. So that's the reason you have the outcome that you have. So when you break it down and bring it home to them, your hope and expectation is that they understand the vote from the local all the way up matters. It does make a difference, and don't let anyone convince you that it doesn't.
And now, I don't know if you noticed, so we originally had planned this, thanks to Lorraine who put it together, this candidate forum. And then Jen has made a suggestion about bringing you on. I've been asking you questions because I wanted each candidate to have equal time. Most of the questions I'm asking you is not necessarily about either candidate, you know what I'm saying? But
Sure.
an African-American woman, we're Black Westchester, about Black issues that the county is facing. And I've been picking my questions specifically to do that, so that I still am I'm not playing favorite to either candidate, because it's like two of y'all to that one, you know what I mean? But you can speak,
sure.
You can speak to what the other two, and I'm not saying white privilege, but just because of experience, you can speak to some things that they can't, that are issues in our community for firsthand,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Lorraine, do you have any questions that are not about either candidate, but about Black and brown lives in Westchester and where the party goes?
Yeah. Wait, I can't see because I got.
The question is, it'll go in a minute. I'm sorry.
Okay. How can you help me change the narrative? I am tired of hearing, who cares? Spanish people don't vote. How do we fix that? I don't know how. I tried. How do we? I know it's the party, and I know it's the local party. But how could myself, like, for example, as a district leader, how would you, and a former elected official, I mean, I know about it, but I want you to help me tell the audience that it's not informed about the party politics, that how important it is to actually get out there and vote, like you said. But how do we change these elected officials from saying they don't matter, they don't vote? Because I hear it all the time.
You do. There is some narrative around, the fact that they don't feel like the Black and brown people come out to vote, and that is, we know that to be true. We certainly have seen that play out on the local and national level, but I really think that they're paying more attention this time around, because I think that what we've seen the last 4 years at the national level in the Black Lives Matter movement, those are young people out there leading this whole movement, this whole revolution that's taking place. And if anyone thinks that it's not making a difference, you need to think about the Aunt Jemima label coming off the syrup. You need to think about Kamala Harris being named VP candidate. All of these things were directly related to that movement. I mean, we had candidates that were well qualified, from a vast, diverse background. And any one of those women would have made a very, very good vice president for sure. But the Black Lives Matter movement made them say, hey, you cannot look past or over the Black qualified women that are up there. You saw Black mayors come out when and had to speak and talk about, governing their town and also making some really hard decisions about COVID, when at our national level, we had no leadership going on, and they were trying to keep their people safe. So to answer your question, I think that the Black and brown people are paying much more attention this time around. And for anyone who thinks that their vote doesn't matter or take them for granted, I think they're highly mistaken, because we can't afford to lose any any votes at this particular time. On the local election, on the state level, on the national level, every single vote matters. And we need to make sure that every single person that's registered, that's eligible, 18 and eligible to vote, that they are registered and they do get out and vote. Because if you don't want a repeat of what we're seeing, because we know there's a base out there that still supports the person who's at, that lives at 40.
And they're gonna come out, yeah, they're gonna come out.
Exactly. So I would encourage every single person, Black, white, Latino, Asian, every single person needs to get out and exercise their right to vote. It is the only way we really correct the mistakes that have been done over the last 4 years, the travesty, really. I mean, look how many people we've lost in the pandemic due to lack of leadership. So I think that we have an obligation to get out there at every opportunity and encourage the Latino votes, the Black votes, white votes, people of all genders, sexualities, every single person there. I come from a place where people, I know people who literally died for me to have this right to be able to vote. I'm not talking about reading about someone. I know people who would go to the registration office to register to vote and would be turned away. And so I take it very personally. I take it very seriously. And if you think that this is the time where you're going to sit it out, then I think that you are going to be highly, highly regretting that decision, because no one else can do it for you. This is something that rests within your power to do.
Yeah.
Damon, any questions about
no,
as far as the county and
she covered a lot. So thank you very much.
Is there anything I did not ask you that you want people to know, either about you, the importance of this race, or any message that you want to get out there while we have your attention, while we have you?
Sure. So I just like to make sure that everyone knows that you've asked the question several times about grooming leadership, Black leadership. And I think we all have a responsibility to sort of make sure that all voices are heard, and make sure that Blacks have a seat at the table, Latinos have a seat at the table, gays and lesbians have a seat at the table. So it's, inclusiveness means that there's room at the table for every single person. And I always want to be judged by the content of my character. And so I look at the person that I've signed on the ticket with. I'm looking at the content of his character, and that is Bill Serratore. And so I think I also want to give credit to Commissioner Lafayette. He's served there 16 years. He's had a lot of successes while being the leader of the party. He took on the party, I think, when nobody else wanted the job. Now we have a lot more engagement, and especially within the last 4 years. But I certainly want to give him credit for leading us over the last 16 years. And we've had judges we've put Black judges on the bench. We put Latino judges. So there's a lot of successes under Chair Lafayette. And it's always, you can always point the finger. Since I'm an elected official, you always can point the finger at someone who's served or is currently serving. But I do want to acknowledge the work and the good that he has done. And so therefore, it is just time to move forward to, there's like I said, a whole movement out there for us to sort of bring about some new and improved methods of running the committee. And so that's why I'm a part of this, have joined on to be a part of the candidate to be elected to help move us forward.
I wish you luck. I wish you well in the election in a couple of days. And win or lose, win, you'll be part of the county party. I hope that you utilize us as the major African American media in the area and in the county. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
To get your issues out. But even in losing, you're the head of the party in your municipality. I hope that you utilize us to get the word out, to get the message out, to get to any issues that need to be addressed. You utilize us from this point forward.
I definitely will. And if you have any issues whatsoever, I'm always available. Don't ever hesitate to call me. Being a person who's already an elected official, I'm used to getting a lot of calls and people asking about different things and wanting to. Yeah.
Be careful though, because I'll burn your phone up. I'll be calling. But yes, wish you well, and thank you for taking the time for coming here and participating today.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's really exciting meeting you all.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good luck with everything.
Good night. Good
Thank
luck.
you. Good night.
So we're coming to the close of the show. We're going to do last words, but this was our Westchester County Democratic Chair Candidate Forum, and I want to be very careful because I do understand she's running on the ticket with Bill, and I do want to give equal time. So, as an African American woman, she was able to speak to some of the issues in the African American, the Black and Brown community that the two white candidates might not have been able to speak to from experience. So I wanted to make sure. She's turned around sideways. Yes.
You got to turn your phone back around.
Yeah, you're turning your phone around. You're sideways. You're sideways, Lorraine.
You're sideways.
I'm sorry. It screamed.
No, it's all right. We
were just going like this for a minute. Like, okay, there she goes.
There are people sitting at home watching us like this.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, we lost Lorraine.
Where'd she go?
I don't know, but I was careful in my questions to still kind of keep it even, but I'll have her address issues of color in the community, in the county, and I
think that's great. One question. I just want to. Where did it go? Oh, Pastor Robinson, Tyrone H. Robinson says, will you have either back on after 100 days or so to see if whoever wins is on target with their pledges?
Absolutely.
And
that goes for all elected officials that just happened to be on the show. We want them to come back on and continue to address the audience.
Right.
So
Stephanie Swan says, great program this evening. I was sitting in the audience that night when they did not endorse Judith Beville for incumbent town clerk. She was devastated. I was sitting right in front of her that evening. Cicely Greaves says that was a nice, engaging conversation.
When is the vote? The vote is on September 17th, I believe. I believe that they're voting in 4 days on for that chair. I believe it's the 17th. When I post the video up, and anybody listening, Nicole Benjamin, anybody else listening, if I'm incorrect on the date, please correct me. Nicole Benjamin said, hopefully this conversation will engage voters to become district leaders and to participate in the important democratic process. And Stephen Simpson said, Lorraine Lopez, this is a great idea. Thank you.
Right. I want to comment on what Nicole said, and
yes,
and that's a great point, Nicole. In district leaders are the key, right? And that's
yes.
And that's something that has to be done. Nicole also said proxies are due on Monday for all district leaders. But being a district leader is a key. But what's more important than being a district leader is being an independent thinking district leader.
Yes.
Right? Some of y'all district leaders are scared or cowards. some of y'all district leaders won't sign another candidate's signature sheet because the party didn't endorse them because they're afraid of retaliation from the chair. I know that for a fact because I heard that myself from district leaders. So
not only that, some of the district leaders are put in there just so that they can be that person to vote for the party.
exactly. So district leaders are the key, but we also need district leaders with integrity and honesty, right?
She said both the district leaders are not informed.
Well, yeah.
Well, they got to vote regardless, and they got to have a proxy.
And Nicole, you might be right, but for that, but if you have someone that's going to run and be elected as the district leader, and they're not going to be informed of what's going on, then they shouldn't be district leader.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
They shouldn't be a district leader because you are the point person, for the political party, for that district. So how can you not be informed unless you're just doing the bid of the chair or the bid of elected official or the bid of somebody else?
Which goes on all the time.
Right. And if we're gonna talk about change, right? We're gonna talk about having a new normal in the political process, right? Then district leaders must be independent thinking, right? And some of them, and if you and even chairs, y'all can't be bullying these district leaders neither, right? So I know about
Nadine Hunt. Okay, good.
But all should be able to be engaged in the process of being leaders in the county of Westchester. And yes, absolutely.
And I just want to say, Councilwoman, White Plains Councilwoman Nadine Hunt Robinson said, yes, I was correct. The vote is on September 17th in 4 days. That is when they'll be picking. Yeah. That is when they'll be picking the future of the Democratic Party in Westchester County. And that's why.
Okay, now speaking of that, if you are a district leader and you are not aware of it, you are aware of it now. Make it a point to get to your city chair, county chair, and let them know that you need that information to join that Zoom meeting.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro.
I said that was the reason we were thinking, again, credit to, and I want to say this, and this is not just to blow smoke up Lorraine. There was one or two people that tried to take credit. You can do that. Okay. There was one or two people that tried to take credit for putting tonight together. And just for the record, I just want you to know there were other people who reached out to us, but Lorraine made this happen in half an hour. She called both parties. They got back to her. She set it up. So this show was possible only because of Lorraine. So if you heard anybody else had anything to do with it, I'm telling you who was involved. Lorraine put this together, and I thank her. And Damon and I both felt, this is the future of the party. Whether it's the next 2 years, 4 years, whatever, this is the future. And I'm sure that these are not the kind of conversations that most of the people that are watching are probably not used to these kind of conversations with county Democratic Party candidates. Before when you find out about them, they're just the chair, and they're just the chair. You didn't know nothing about them. Well, hopefully we did a little bit to change that, even though the voters don't get to vote for them, but you get to know a little bit about who was the candidates that were running. And that's, like I said, the future of the party. Hopefully we addressed a lot of the Black and brown issues, and hopefully y'all appreciate it. And I thank you all for tuning in. Any last words, Lorraine?
No, just make sure people, November, when is election day? November 3rd?
Yes, and early voting starts October 24th.
October 24th, yes. We got to get out there. We got to vote. Keep in mind, folks, that there are Trump supporters out here that are pissed off at the Black Lives Movement. They're going to come out. They're going to vote because they're pissed. Don't think just because there's people out there rallying, they're going to vote.
They're trying to break up a rally today.
They had a rally today.
No, the Black Lives Matter people had a rally today. they tried to co-opt it by putting out a flyer saying that the rally was yesterday.
Oh, I know about that.
And Patty Duke and a few other people said they were there, and the black and the Trump supporters came through trying to cause problems up there.
Yeah, and those Trump supporters are not going to go to the polls. They're going to pitch a 10 overnight. They're going to be there.
Shout to your
and we
sister,
need to do the same.
Shout to your sister Susie Lopez, who said, "I don't live in Westchester no more, but I love watching and listening to great topics, great show."
Hey, ain't that?
Hey, I love you, Susie, but you live in Westchester. I mean, you work in Westchester, so you can tell yourself.
Hey, AJ, ain't that Carlos in her in her profile pic? Ain't that Carlos?
Profile pic? Oh,
yeah.
It looked like Carlos, right? Carlos is Pugsy B partner. So we've had several people throughout the county. Lisa Burton, as we said, Susie Lopez. We had Sandy Barnaby, Luis Cherico, Cookie Alexander Campbell, Nicole Benjamin, Stephanie Swan, White Plains Councilwoman Nadine Hunt Robinson, Dylan Klein, Paul Anthony Cuesta, Tasha Young, several others I can't find their names. Kelly Kerr, Alex Harrison, Nas Duncan, Barry McGooey, Rudy Coombs, Lois Bastin. I may have pronounced that wrong. Aleda Castillo.
There's a Latino guy there that made a statement too.
Stephen Simpson.
Hey, Steve.
Tyrone H. Robinson. Is that Nadine's husband? Is that Pastor Robinson Nadine's husband? Damon?
Huh?
Damon? Tyrone H. Robinson. Is that Pastor Robinson Nadine's husband?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Who I met at your mom's funeral. Alberta Darko. Says Steven Simpson. Cicely Greaves. And everybody else who was tuning in. There was a lot of other names that I can't find right now. And I think everybody from.
Oh, I can't. Juan Carlos Batista.
Okay. And you too.
Sure.
Yes. And a lot of people were tuned in from the county. A lot of people did not tune in so their name could be seen. But I got questions from a lot of people, a lot of elected officials throughout the county who asked questions on the low. And I won't out you right now. But anyway, we thank you. We know you were paying attention. We thank you all for tuning in. This has been.
I already made my decision on the show by this partition. I already know.
Okay, there you go.
As a district leader, I'm casting my vote.
Okay,
and I made a decision. Thank you, Black Westchester.
There you go.
Keeping me informed.
There you go. Trump parade was in Tarrytown yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they had yesterday. They had a Trump parade. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, you see, Yonkers Councilwoman Tasha Diaz is on too. Shout out.
Shout out. I didn't see her name, but shout out to Tasha. Both Tashas now. So yeah, this is we're gonna end this now. We had a little extended 24 minutes because we had an extra person on at the last minute, but I think her voice was very important, and I hope to hear more from her. This has been Black Westchester Presents, the People Before Politics radio show. We're on every Sunday 6 to 8. I had to stop saying the InTheMixRadio.com part. That just flows. I'm about to say that. Thank you. Great show. Thank you. Tasha said, hey, Tasha Young. But yes, you could be doing anything else right now. There's Tasha Diaz waving. You could be doing anything else right now. But you decided to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. This is episode 276. We still got to put up the show. We did a special show 2 days ago, 275, and that'll be up as soon as we edit the video. You can find all of it.
It's up. I'm having a problem with my edit, so just run what's on.
Okay, so it's up. So both shows will be up later today, and you can watch both shows on Black Westchester. Paper should be out Friday.
It's up. Once we shut it down, it's gonna be up. We're live on YouTube right now.
Oh, okay. Then it's up. Okay. So
Yeah.
So both shows are up. Paper comes out probably Friday, and for all y'all last minute, you got 2 days to advertise. If you want to advertise, you got 2 days. 2 days. 2 days. 2 days. That's it. Until next week. Peace.
Peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.